much,
Hmm.
Richard Bailey, for joining. We've kind of had some really good dialogue over some really good topics. And so
Right.
I'm glad that you agreed to come
Mhm.
on and kind of talk about this and record some of this stuff that I believe will be awesome for everyone to hear. And so it should
Yeah.
definitely stir up some good conversation pieces, if nothing else.
Hey, I love it. I
Um,
love it. I'm all about it. Let's do it.
yeah, me too. Okay, so we're going to talk about men who identify as
Mhm.
women who identify as men. So that's one of the topics we want to get into. We want to get into relationship issues
Mhm.
of the lying and the cheating and how that is perceived male versus female doing the lying and the cheating. We want to talk about how men are expected
Right.
to how men are expected to come in from the gate acting as our husband, but the women are told don't give away wifely duties without the title being a wife. And then we want to talk about the more kids that women have, the less
Mhm.
dateable they are, according to Kevin Samuels. Let me throw that out
Right.
there. So let's just jump right into it. Okay.
Okay.
So men that identify as women, women who identify as men. So this is a huge thing that has kind of come into play. And just in the last couple of years, it's just kind of skyrocketed. And then even spilling over into children, sex changes and allowing people to identify as, whatever they want to identify as. And let me say this piece, and then I'm going to turn it over to you, let you speak on this.
Okay.
So let's just talk about the anatomy, the makeup of a male and a female. People can identify as whatever they want to identify as. Whatever makes you
Right.
happy, go for it. No judgment
Go
here.
for it.
What I want to say is, biologically speaking, the
Hmm.
pelvis, the pelvic bone of a male versus the pelvic bone of a female is different. It's different because a female pelvic bone has to stretch open to bring a baby into this world. If you really want to know what a person is, do an x-ray of their pelvic bone. And then, and even some people, I mean, it's funny, but it's factual, because even some people where they want to come in and they want to identify whether someone is a male and a female, the investigators will tell you they do look at the pelvic bone. There's distinct differences in the shape. The women's pelvic bone is wider. That's why women
Hmm.
have wider hips, because our pelvic bone is wider. So, and not to say that they're not, men that have wider hips and things of that nature, but just the bare basics of the anatomy of how we were genetically created, there's a difference, a distinct difference in that feature alone. Okay, that's all I'll say about that for now. You
Okay.
have the floor, and then we get into the other topics.
Okay. So yeah. First of all,
Hair good, by
all,
the
all
way. Wait,
what's
hold on.
that?
Wait a minute. Yeah. Oh, yeah.
I
Yeah.
got to look fresh for the Zoom. You know what I mean? Had to get right. Had to get right.
I love
And
it. I love the look. I love
mhm.
it. Okay, go
Thank
ahead.
you. So everything you're saying are facts. It's hard to argue facts. That's why there's no argument against that. So even just attacking the men and women who identify as something, when people say they identify as something, the question is if you're identifying as something, that means you're already something else, correct? So the fact that a man is identifying as a woman and a woman's identifying as a man, if you were that already, you wouldn't have to identify yourself as that.
That's
I
a
mean,
great
that
point.
so that's the. I mean, so even from then, we could cut off the Zoom because the answer to that is correct. You either created or evolved as that, because we have people that believe in creation and evolution. So even with that, we'll just talk. We will talk as created. So even if the facts that you said, you could take the pelvic bone out, the anatomy of we're a type of animal on the planet. You don't see two Doberman male dogs mating because yeah, other animals have sex, but they mate. There's only, as far as I know, there's us and dolphins that have sex for pleasure. So even the sexual part, which I know you haven't tapped into yet, but the identifying is, and it comes off insulting, but I think it's a mental thing. because whether it's how you were brought up or if there was a chemical imbalance in your brain of how your hormones work, I'll say this to wrap this part up, and then I'll give credit to one of my friends, Mr. Williams. I don't know if anyone's holding him up, I'll say Mr. Williams for right now. And him and I have these discussions all the time about this. And it's hypothetical, but you can put in place of what we're talking about. There's a kid that comes to class and says, I identify as a pirate and I want to be a pirate, right? So the stereotypical pirate has what? A peg leg, a hook arm, and one eye. So are we going to go to the hospital and cut off a leg, an arm, and take out his eye so he can be a pirate? So it's dress up to me, and it's not attacking friends that I have that identify as whatever, but this is my opinion, just like they have their opinion. But to even identify something that you're not, and then to say I'm living in my truth is false, because the truth is you are a man or woman that came out of a womb of a woman, because you didn't come out of a womb of a woman that's now a man. She's still a woman.
Yeah. I think that when we do know people personally, and people that are good people and people that we love and care for, that are identifying as something other than the way they were born, I'm careful to not make it appear as if there's judgment here. I think the part that gets me in all of it is getting upset with other people who don't want to acknowledge what you want to identify as. If you want to identify as whatever, that's fine, but you cannot make other people call you something that you wasn't born as. There was this one video, and I think you actually sent it to me, and it was this mother. Her son was identifying as a female. So there were other hosts that she was talking to, and they were really bashing this mom because they're saying she's not a good mother because she won't allow her son to identify as whomever he wants to, and that she should call him a she. The mother should call the son a she. And the mother is saying, I have his birth certificate. I gave birth to him. I know what he was when he was born. You can't make me call my son a female when he wasn't born a female. I said, that's when I think it just gets to be too much. It goes too far with now you're trying to make people accept that. And I don't think that's right. I don't think that's fair. Now, if one of my children decided to go that route, I'm going to love my kids regardless. Always, regardless. I'm not going to ever disown them or make them feel like they are horrible people for whatever decisions, because they're going to make decisions anyway that I'm not going to agree with. But you cannot make me change how I have identified you from birth. I think it's wrong to pull the world into this system of trying to make us be okay with that. But that's my opinion on that.
Just how you said, and a lot of people use that as an example, that my child. So even with your child, it's an unconditional love when it comes to parent, which is fine. But when you deal with the world, which the majority of the world are heterosexual people and identify as what they are, it's just facts. Because if not, those people who identify as a man and woman wouldn't even be here. You know what I mean? So just like you were saying, you can't force or make someone, you can't make me do anything. But to say like, you must call me this, is a narcissistic, and that's not how the world works. It's a little, I don't want to use delusional, but entitled. That's the word I'm looking for. You must call me this. It's not. No. Once I watched the documentary, John Walsh's "What Is a Woman," every person he interviewed could never just answer the question because they're so busy trying to literally make sense of what they're saying. The reason why it's trans woman, trans man, because you were something before, you're transforming into something else. So that title's fine. That's why for me, if there's someone in that community that identifies something else, I just ask them what their name is. So it was a win-win. If your name is Daisy, Flower, or Lizard, sure. But the he, she pronouns is not going to mess with the vernacular English that I'm used to and make me change into it. That's not going to happen.
Yeah. Another thing too, when we get into kids and allowing kids to do sex changes or putting kids on hormones, I saw this documentary about basically catching the children before they get into puberty. that is altering the natural state of a child, because you're going to change when you hit puberty. So if you're
Mm-hmm.
trying to alter what that person is going to naturally morph into, then the body's still going to be trying to morph into that. And then you have something that's counteracting what it's naturally trying to do. And you're thinking that that's going to make those emotions more stable. The body is created. The body is created to heal itself. The body is its own mechanism that runs by itself without the help of all of these outside things. So because the body is created to be what it's going to be, its own little universe, it's going to naturally become what it is. But if you put different types of hormones that contradict with what is naturally going to be, you're going to cause more confusion, depression, and illnesses, and all of these other things, because you're making the body go against what it naturally wants to do to heal and to expand and to grow. And so it's just going against the body's natural mechanics. That's what I feel like. It's almost cruelty to allow these things to, to take place in kids' lives before puberty. You're going to mess up the natural body mechanics. But anyway, I digress on that. All right, let's get into this male and female relationships and expectations. Okay, the first thing I want to talk about is men are expected to act like husbands from the jump. We want y'all to pay for our meals. We want you to pay bills. We want you to protect us. You better not let anything happen to us. You need to come through the door letting us know that you're going to protect us. And, you're going to be our providers. You need to fix things. If something happens to my car, I'm going to need you to be all over this. Like, don't you have me riding around in a junk car, even if I showed up to you in a junk car. I need you to fix it because you're my man. But then women are taught, why is he going to buy the milk when he can get the cow for free? And don't do wifely duties when you don't have the title of a wife. And this is a real topic that we really should discuss. But anyway, that's all I'm going to say about that. I'm going to let you just have it. Take it, run with it.
Yeah, so that's to me, that's the double standard that society, I don't know, last 50, however many years, I think since technology has kicked up, has been accepted. But I want to say it's almost like ever since not civil rights, but when the women's rights movement and has been going on, and I'm not going to go too much of a rabbit hole, and welfare in the 70s, and then child support and divorce, women have taken on a lot of life duties on their own without a family unit. Notice I didn't even say husband, without a family unit. And so now the equality that a majority of West women wanted now have it. And as I'm going to tie into that conversation said before, what does nature naturally do? Fight back and go back against to what it's supposed to be. And I'm not even being biblical on this. I'm just going on parenting and the language of math. Two are better than one. So the finances. So to go back into the whole husband thing, since women are so used to doing it on their own, if someone else comes to do it, I'm not going to use my pocket because they've been struggling. Or the pride of doing it all myself on my own. There's no more chivalry. The man's supposed to do it. So the whole time in the feminist movement, we're still supposed to do it when we weren't even there. He was in jail, he was locked up, or we're having a 9 to 5, and now that's out of style. The double standard of that is, I won't say horrible, because men are raised to do all things that you said. The problem is, like you said, my man versus my husband. So yeah, me personally, because of the way I've been raised and because of the judgment of going out, it's like, hey, we're going Dutch, we go half and half. That's not expected. Most women are expected for the meals and the dates and the pickup at 7 and all that stuff to be done. And then God forbid if we have an expectation, not sex, but any other expectation, how dare you? You're not my man, where the ring at, that. So women come with this list of expectations and we come with just to do them. Nah, that's not cool.
And I'm gonna buy into this double standard because I'm gonna say I hate paying for my own food. I hate it, and I just want him to pay. But the thing about it is, to be fair though, if we're going on dates and we like each other, like we're kind of establishing we really like each other, it is unfair for him to always pay. And so therefore, I don't mind paying in that regard. But when I tell you I hate it so much, but I do it only because I feel like it's really not right to expect him to pay all the time if we're enjoying each other's company. Because I don't know his financial situation. And women, we're taught, well, I mean, if he wants to be with me, he's going to have to be able to financially earn me and keep me. And I get it. I'm not saying that I wasn't trained to think that way, but although I love it, although I really don't want to ever pull out my card when going out to dinner, the practical side of me understand that just because I enjoy somebody's company doesn't mean financially I can afford to pay every single time. I think it's unfair to expect it, but I do expect him to protect me though. So I'm not any different than any other woman. I'm old fashioned and I do expect all of these things. And I think because I have been a single mother and I have been the head of the household and have had to basically be responsible for my house, I think that's why I get it. And I think that's why I don't mind paying. Now, but I like it if he tells me no, don't pay. I'm not gonna even lie. I like it. I like it. I like it.
There's even something that I teach my sisters as they were growing up, or even as adults, because like I said, I tell them the double standard. So I'm not saying men are wrong for just not automatically do it. If you buy into the double standard, now, if you complain about it, that's one thing. If you accept it, cool. I teach my sisters to at least offer to pay the tip. That goes a long way with us. Just the gesture. Not saying you want to pay. If you're a man like myself, so we're going to offer to pay, especially if we ask you on a date. That's just my rule. But if they at least offer to pay the tip, I'm not saying there's rules to it. I'm not going to be like Steve Harvey, write a book, but to be consistent. I'll tell them, like, every time you ask for the tip, us denying a woman to want to do something for a man is almost insulting. Because unless they're just doing it just for the checkbox. Just like we're offering to pay for a meal, there's nothing wrong with you guys offer. Not saying we ask. If you offer, we should accept.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
But if they offer it as like if you bluff in and the offer is, are you sure you got it? Be like, oh wait, then that's on you. So always be genuine. It can probably hit hard with some people, but from booty call all the way up to courting right before engagement, we invest into it. Whether it's the dinner, whether it's the trip, the ticket, and if you put it on everything else we got going on, it's a liability. Because I think there's no guarantee coming back or whatever level of relationship it is. Because here's the thing, without the man, you still have to eat, right? So now I'm taking on a liability of paying both, which is not the complaint. That's just the fact. So when women have the audacity to say something that we do out of chivalry and say, he got to do this, got to do that, calm that down. Because now what we expect is to be soft, feminine, agreeable. You tell us what we got to do. That's the last thing we want to do. Tell us what we got to do. Let us do it. Let's do this and allow the man to do what he wants to do.
It's interesting that you talk about that being a liability. And I do agree because there's really nothing that says that she even wants to be with you or that it's turning into any type of relationship. So I get it. So you invest all of this money and she's dating other people. We give men a hard time for dating 2 and 3 people at one time, but there are females that also doing the same thing. We're going on 2 or 3 dates at the same time, getting all of our meals paid. It is a double standard. So I can see, I think that these are conversations that need to be had,
I think the double standard is accepted. But when your main question was how it is, men already start off as husband from what women expect for us to protect and provide. The 2 P's. The 3rd P, oh, God forbid. Right? So
yeah, because you can't get the milk unless you buy the cow. Well,
correct. and so even with that, I agree because I got sisters that want daughters, right? No, but damn it, we investing in it.
You're making
so I can get a sample if I need. Let me stop. I'm making a. I need some moo. I need a little moo. I need a little moo. To mess around, I could be like, let me get a little moo, girl. So no, that's a double standard. That's that is checked. So even with that moved out the way, not forget that. Forget going out to buy us dinner at a restaurant. Cook for us. When it comes to what's expected from a man and all this stuff, in general, have women ever asked a man what we expect from you? Probably rarely not. And I'll tell you the truth, in society, and I'll stick with the West, men, boys are taught what to do for women. Women are taught what to do for themselves. Independent. Make sure you take care of yourself. Da, da, da.
But I
But are they
disagree
really
with that.
taught?
I disagree
I'm
with
asking you as a
that.
woman too. Are they taught what I know because you're a different breed. We've talked. So the question is, in general, not you,
Oh, okay.
Missy, are women taught how to court? Let's go to court, or how to court a man, what to do for a man. I think women are taught what to expect from a man, and men are taught what to do for a woman. And there's no exchange. Like we don't like we are the servers and the protectors, but it is an exchange. Just like even in not to go off in a ramble, but even sex, there's not a I'm giving you the P. No, you getting some D. It's an exchange. That is not a buy-in because I can get it from somewhere else and you can get that from somewhere else. That zeroes
It's
out
an
the playing
exchange.
field,
It's
right?
an exchange for sure.
But
Well,
well, you said you disagreed about something about it.
that women are not taught to, to take care of a man. I disagree with that. And this is not a broad brush for every woman,
Mhm.
especially a lot of the women that are coming up now. And so this is definitely not a broad brush. But women are taught that we're supposed to, make sure we cook for our men. We're supposed to make sure we, keep the house clean. We're supposed to make sure that we provide him a place to come to rest from all of his stresses of the day and a place that he can just kind of have peace. But then too, wait,
Hold up,
no,
hold up.
you can't interrupt. You can't
You're
interrupt.
right.
You gotta let me finish. You gotta let me finish. So, but then on the flip side, is he being our piece as well? And we need to get into this men cheating versus women lying and cheating and how that's perceived versus
Let's
male
go.
and female. But but so we as women we're
Let's
taught
go.
to provide this atmosphere that this man can just find peace and rest, but you're hurting our hearts and you're wounding us. How are we going to provide an atmosphere for you to find peace and rest when you're not giving us peace and rest? So that's also an exchange. Since we're talking about exchange, the home together should be peace and rest for both people. I shouldn't have to worry about what you're doing when you leave the house. You shouldn't have to worry about, what I'm doing when I leave the house, or if you're going to have peace when you come home. It should be automatic that we're both going to have peace when we come home. This should be our safe haven, not just his safe haven, not just my safe haven. It should be both of our safe haven, and we both have to work to create that safe haven for each other. I think we're both flawed, male and female, in how we were both taught. We were both taught that, okay, this is your role, this is your role, and this is what you got to do for him, this is what he's got to do for you, versus what do we need to do for each other to provide a warm, loving environment that we both flourish and grow in together. And I think that's where it comes into getting rid of what grandma and grandpa and everybody taught us and saying, how can we make this work for us? How can we create this beautiful environment for us to build on? And I think that's where it's all flawed.
Mhm.
Throw out the window who pays for what dinner and all of this stuff. And once we're
Right.
to a point where we're combining households, but that takes a while to get to. I don't mind, and I think I was saying this on another show, I don't mind putting money in an account because I like for him to pay. So I don't mind putting money in an account that's leisure for him to, to pay for the dinners. If I like for him to pay the dinners and I don't really expect for him to have to pay out of his money that he's earning all the time, I don't mind contributing to that, but we're not there on date one and we're not there on date two. We're not married. We're not combining households at that point. So that's where it's kind of sticky for me. I don't mind contributing to that. I want him to pay. I don't mind contributing to the bank account for that leisure purpose, but we're not there yet. So getting to that point, if we get to that point, I don't know. That's where it kind of gets a little sticky for me. I do believe that everybody needs to create their own environment for what works for them.
When I listen to both of us speak, we're talking about standards from dating. I'm not saying you're deflecting, but when you're saying it was so like, well, women need the peace too, and then you went right into women shouldn't have to worry about them cheating, but then you came right back and worry about us cheating. You take that out. Being that as a man, we're talking about peace. We're not talking about just not the yelling and all that stuff. It's all. If you think about the old school, we're going out to break our backs to bring in the bread for you to make the bread, unintended, right? So,
Well, no, I disagree with that because that's not what's happening
I said that's
anymore.
exactly what I'm getting to. That's not no longer the thing. So now that we have career women that are making their own bread as well, correct? Yes.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Freeze?
No, I didn't freeze.
Okay. So this is where the double standard becomes contradicting. Now women are having own careers and actually making a lot of money, right? It becomes what's yours is mine and what's mine is mine. When the benefit of a legal marriage, now I'm not even talking biblical, legal marriage, it's combined. We're talking about financials, right? Combine the financials of things. So even what you said about putting money for dinners, and even the fact that we're having a conversation about something so minute about the dollar amount of what comes in, and this is the double standard that it becomes so you guys can be financially good, and we're asking for peace. Peace should be given because you're now our wife. Yeah, we're talking girlfriend or boyfriend. The reason why I went to what you were saying is you went into the why do we have to worry about you cheating? Like, well, don't. You shouldn't be marrying if you have to worry about it.
I agree.
But